students, welcome to my channel Science Bug by Poonam Singh. Today we'll be doing the topic Sexual Reproduction in Flowering Plants. This topic is from class 10, Biology chapter 8 of the NCERT book. By now we already know that sexual reproduction involves the combining of one male gamete with one female gamete. And we also know that gametes are specialized cells which are also known as sex cells or reproductive cells or the germ cells. Now, among the plants, sexual reproduction is seen in higher plants like the flowering plants. And the flowering plants are also known as angiosperms. So, angiosperms are the higher plants in which the sex organs are present within the flower and the seeds are enclosed in a fruit. Now, like humans, the male and the female sex organs are also present in the plants and they are present in the flower. But their form and structure is quite different from the humans. The sex organs of the plants are present in the part which is the flower. So the reproductive organs or the sex organs of the plant are present in a flower. Now, before we proceed, we should know the parts of a flower. Now, I have drawn a diagram here. As you can see, it is the diagram, it is the longitudinal section, that is LS of a flower, of a hibiscus flower. This is the LS of a hibiscus flower. The common name of hibiscus is China rose and we call it gudhal in Hindi. Now in this, the parts, why do we take hibiscus plant? Because the parts in this flower are very clear. The first part is this swollen base. This swollen base is known as receptacle. It is known as receptacle. So to this swollen base, as you can see, all the other parts of the flower are attached. So receptacle is the swollen base of the flower to which all the parts of the flower are attached. The second part is this. This and this is the same and they are forming actually a ring outside the flower. These are leaf-like structures, green leaf-like structures, which are known as sepals, and they form the outermost ring in the flower. So that outermost ring of the flower, of the sepals, is known as calyx. Calyx. The function of these sepals is to protect the flower in the initial stages, that is when the flower is still a bud. Then we come to the second part. As you can see here, this and this, these are all the colored parts of the flower which are forming a ring inside the sepals. So these colored leaf-like structures are forming a ring inside the sepals. They are known as petals. A flower can have a different number of petals. Now this ring of the petals outside the sepals is known as corolla. I'm just repeating myself. The ring of the sepals is known as calyx and the ring of the petals is known as corolla. C-O-R-O-L-L-A. And the function of this petals or corolla is to attract the insects for pollination and to protect the reproductive organ inside. About pollination we'll do later. Now the third part or the fourth part, as you can see, is this structure, which has a filamentous structure and a top head. This is known as stamen. This is known as stamen. This is also a stamen. A flower can have many stamens. And in the center, you see a flask-shaped structure which is known as the pistil or carpel. Pistil and carpel are the two names given to this structure, this flask-shaped structure in the center. We can call it pistil or we can call it carpel. This stamen and carpel are the reproductive parts. The stamen and carpel are the reproductive parts of the flower or of the plant. I'm repeating it again. We have the receptacle, which is the swollen base of the flower to which all the parts are attached. Then we have the ring of sepals, which is known as calyx. Then we have the ring of colored petals, which is known as the corolla. Then we have the reproductive organs in the center of the flower. This is the male reproductive organ, the stamen, and this is the female reproductive organ, the pistil or the carpel. Now, about this stamen and carpel or the pistil, we'll do in detail now. Now, first we come to the stamen. And a flower can have more than one stamens. It can have many stamens, in fact. Then each stamen, this is one stamen. Each stamen has two parts. The long filamentous part, which is known as the filament, and the top head, which is known as the anther. Now this anther contains pollen grains. Here the anther has been cut open to show the pollen grains. And let me tell you that pollen grains are the yellow powdery substance which we see in the flower, and each pollen grain contains male gamete. So this is the structure of the stamen. So stamen is the male reproductive organ, and it consists of two parts, the filament and the anther. And anther contains the pollen grains, which is the yellow powdery substance which we see in the flower, and each pollen grain contains the male gamete. Now we come to the female reproductive organ, which is known as the carpel or the pistil. Let us see the structure of this carpel, or what we call it as a pistil. This pistil is flask shaped, as you can see here. It has three parts. The top sticky part is known as the stigma. S-T-I-G-M-A. The top sticky part is known as the stigma. The middle tube-like structure is known as the style. And the bottom flask-shaped thing is known as the ovary. So together these three parts make the pistil, or the carpel. So if anybody asks you how many parts does a carpel or a pistil has, you will say a pistil or the carpel has three parts, and they are stigma, style, and the ovary. Now this ovary contains ovules. This ovary contains ovules. In fact, an ovary contains many ovules, but in this diagram I have shown just one ovule with one female gamete, and the female gamete is known as the ovum, or simply the egg. So this is the structure of the pistil or the carpel, which is the female reproductive organ. And let me also tell you that this stigma is sticky. Why this stigma is sticky? This stigma is sticky so that the pollen grains may stick to it at the time of pollination, which will be useful later on in fertilization. Depending on the number of sex organs present in the flowers can be unisexual or bisexual. You got the spellings? Unisexual, UNI, unisexual, or bisexual. Uni means one and bi means two. So the flowers which contain just one sex organ, that is either the male or the female, that is either the stamen or the pistil, such flowers are known as unisexual flowers. And the examples of unisexual flowers are, for example, watermelon and papaya. And bisexual are the flowers which contain both the sex organs, that is both male and female sex organs, that is both stamen and pistils. They are known as bisexual flowers, and the examples are hibiscus. One example is hibiscus, which is this flower. It has both stamens and the carpel, that is both male and female reproductive organs. So hibiscus, and another example is mustard plant, sarson plant. Okay. So this is about unisexual and bisexual. Now, how a seed is formed in a flower or in a plant? A seed is formed when one male gamete present in the pollen grain combines with one female gamete which is present in the ovule. Now this process of combining of one male gamete with one female gamete takes place in two steps, and these two steps are pollination and fertilization, about which I will be telling you in my next class. Children, before we wind up, let us quickly observe the parts of hibiscus flower practically. Here are a few flowers which I've brought today. This flower is Calendula. It's a seasonal flower. This is hibiscus. The China rose, common name is China rose. And these are also hibiscus. This one, these are all hibiscus. And this one is a rose flower. I hope you can identify it. Now first let us take the hibiscus flower. This is a hibiscus flower with leaves. So here let us observe the different parts. These green leafy structures These green leafy structures are not sepals, children. These are some extra structures which are seen in this flower. So I'm taking them off so that you don't get confused between sepals and these structures. These are not the sepals. These green leafy structures are the sepals. Let us count them. This is 1. I'm keeping it folded. Then this is 2, 3, 4, and 5. So it has 5 sepals. And this swollen base which you see here is the receptacle. So these sepals are forming a ring outside. So this ring of sepals is known as calyx, C-A-L-Y-X. Now let us see the colored structures inside, the colored leaf-like structures inside. I'm holding this one to count how many of them are there. This is 1, then 2, 3, 4, and 5. So 5 colored structures you can see, and these colored structures are the petals. So you have 5 sepals and 5 petals in this particular variety of hibiscus. The petals are forming an inner ring inside these sepals, as you can see, and this ring of petals is known as corolla. And here in this flower, this tube-like structure in the center is very clear, which has yellow structures on top of it, numerous yellow structures on top of it. I hope you can make out these yellow structures are the stamens, the male reproductive organs, the stamens. And when you remove these stamens, you will find a long tube-like structures which is flask shape below. So that is known as the pistil, which is the female reproductive organ. Now let us cut a longitudinal section, that is LS, of this hibiscus flower. This is how I'm cutting it. Through the top portion of the pistil, that is the stigma, I have started cutting it, and I'm cutting it longitudinally till the bottom of the flower. And I'm removing it open, and you can see the LS. This is the diagram which is given in your books showing the LS of hibiscus flower. This is the other half of the flower. This is also the LS. So you get 2 sections, right? Both are longitudinal sections of hibiscus flower. Let me remove these stamens to show you the pistil clearly. Later on, I'll show you the structure of stamens also. So this is the pistil. The top portion is known as the stigma. Then you have the style, and then this long tubular structure is the style, and below you have the ovary. The ovary is round in shape, as you can see. Then I'm going to the other half. In this, the ovary is seen quite clearly, and you might be able to see the ovules inside it also. And cutting it deeper, so that you can see the ovules. This is a magnifying glass. The dark green portion that you see here, this dark green portion that you see in the center, this contains the ovules. Then also we know that the hibiscus has the female reproductive organ, which is known as the pistil or the carpel. It has these stamens also, the yellow things. So it's a bisexual flower. Now let us also examine the stamens. As you can see, these are the stamens. They're quite clear. It has a filamentous, which is a filamentous structure, which is pink in color, and it is known as filament, and the top head is known as the anther. So you have the filament and the anther. The yellow portion is known as the anther, and this anther contains the pollen grains. So we have seen all these parts. These are the stamens. Then you have the sepals, you have the petals and the pistil. The other flower that I wanted to show you today is Calendula. It's a seasonal flower. The reason I want to show you this flower is I just wanted to know whether this flower is unisexual or bisexual. So as I open this flower, I can only see the stamens, which are the male reproductive organs, and the female reproductive organ is not there. As I see through this magnifying glass, I can only see the stamens, the yellow structures which you can see in the center. They are numerous. There is no pistil, that is the female reproductive organ, is not there. So it's a unisexual flower. Then the other flower that I wanted to show you is rose. These rose petals have fallen off, and in the center you see the reproductive organs. Here you can see the stamens. These are all the stamens. They are numerous. And in the center you can see the pistil. In the center there is the pistil. I'll show you with the magnifying glass also. In the center there is the pistil. So this rose is a bisexual flower. Please like and subscribe my channel Science Bug by Poonam Singh if you like my video. That's all for today. Thank you, children.